All right. So you brought up Butler. What's your take?
I'm excited about this year. That's what I'm excited about. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this year. I think
You know,
I think all the players we traded were not going to do anything other than Andrew Wiggins, and Andrew Wiggins has been. I mean, when he has a fire under his ass, like for the last few games when he knew he was on the trading block. But other than that, like I'm not going to miss Schroeder who didn't fit, Slow Mo who lost it since the T Wolves. And I mean, you know how much I love Lindy Waters, but everybody's referring to him as Lindy Waters the second. He is the Lindy Waters the third, right? Or is he
yeah,
the
that's
second?
fair.
Yeah, because everybody's
Yeah.
writing Lindy Waters the second everywhere.
I will say that I I like this trade. I'm excited by this trade. I think that the context of it when it happened makes it kind of weird because everybody loved Wiggs. He was on the court. There was tension, and he was on the court pregame, and then he found out he got traded with everybody else. He didn't want to get traded. He really liked playing for the Warriors, and then they lost the game. And there's been this cloud of the Luca trade for the past 5 days or so, and I think it just made it weird. But if you take it out of context, right after like the a night to sleep on it or whatever, if this trade happened a month ago, uh, and we didn't have to give up like a month ago, it seemed like Miami would have wanted Kaminga or some young dude on the team. I mean, Kaminga is obviously the most attractive asset. So I don't think a month ago we could have done this without giving up Kaminga somehow. So the fact that we still have him, and we lost Wiggins is a guy that I didn't want to lose because I like him. He seems like a good dude, and I feel bad for him because he's just got good vibes. But Jimmy Butler, if he's happy, if he's healthy, we're good to go, because just like Luca, he gets traded. He had all that animosity, all that drama with Riley and the Heat. That if he's got his contract, may not be a 3-year contract, but he's got his contract. He's happy if he's healthy. He's petty enough and competitive enough to play hard and play well. And I don't know if he's the guy that I necessarily wanted for this team because of all this drama, but they signed him, so they got rid of that drama, and that's actually uh, 80% of the drama that he could probably create. And I think with him, it's like I love Wiggins, right? He was just like I said, a good dude, but like he always was like not doing enough, right? He talked about how he disappeared. I know he had some family issues and he was playing freer and happier this year, but his stats always felt a little empty, right? He didn't bring like that extra oomph. And I think what Butler brings is that attitude. He's got that dog in him, just like Draymond. And I'm trying to figure out the last time they had a dude like that. And I think it's David West, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think this is helpful to the Warriors all around because, the Warriors are all vibey and like, good dudes and nice guys and soft spoken and fall in line and everything like that. This could be helpful for them. And to me, I've said this since since Draymond started tearing down the dynasty. I guess the dynasty was already over, but since Draymond started after he punched Poole, it's like I just want to be entertained again. I don't want the drama, I don't want the stress. So this may be different drama at least, but like it's is different, and it gives the Warriors maybe not an outside 3-point threat, but it gives them somebody else to lean on that will get in someone's face on the other team and quite possibly on his own team.
I agree with everything you said. I think the interview that made me understand what Jimmy Butler will bring to the team is an interview I read about Steph Curry having to change his leadership style this year and be more vocal, and get in people's, not in people's faces, but just be a little bit more vocal. Whereas before he would let like a Draymond really yell at people and pull people aside and sort of explain to them or talk them through something sort of casually on the side. He's shifted and he's been more of a vocal leader. I don't know if that's really him, right? He's sort of in the zone all the time and like busy lowering his blood pressure on the sideline. So that was what got me, which is like they need somebody exactly like Jimmy Butler. No one's listening to Draymond Green. Like he lost all of, I think all the team respect, the same level of gravitas that he had before Poole. After Poole is totally different. Like Poole still has all of his buddies there, like Gary Payton and all those guys who I don't think sort of see Draymond the same way that Draymond sees himself. Having Jimmy Butler there, who we saw during the last two finals appearances, like he is, I mean, the epitome of dog. And so having that as a second player to Steph is infinitely better than the empty calories that Andrew Wiggins brings. Like you look at the stat line after a game and you're just like, I didn't see Andrew Wiggins at all. And he scores like a double, and you're like, how did that even happen? Right. That means he's a third or fourth player for me. Jimmy Butler is very clearly a number two. And so, I mean, I'm very excited about this year. Really, I just thought there was going to be a second trade. I thought we were still going to get Vucevic, so that was what would have made sense. But
yeah, like the Vucevic thing, like after the Jimmy trade, I think we all thought, oh, they're just gonna go all in on it. But who knows? I'm no capologist, but my brother actually pointed out to me that if that both Peyton and Looney have expirings, that if you mix it in with how much cap space the Warriors could have, it could equal what Kuminga would want in a year, what the Warriors might give him. So plus like those dudes provide defense, and if you get rid of Peyton, even though he's always injured, you don't have many options for point of attack because they got rid of Wiggins and they got rid of Schroeder, and Kuminga is not there yet, but he's going to have to be there as like the a point of attack option defender sometime soon. And I hope that like, you know, Butler can teach Kuminga some stuff, can teach Moody some stuff. Those guys are so soft spoken, and that's fine and all, but they need to have more dog in them. I think they're competitive, but like, you know, you want to see them show it a little bit more, show a little bit more attitude, and maybe Butler will hopefully have more of a positive effect on them than any kind of negative. But yeah, I mean, Butler hasn't played much, so he's going to be fresh. You know, I'll take that fresh until they just got to survive until the postseason. But if they get into the play-in or a 7-game series, whatever, I definitely wouldn't want to see these dudes in any round of the playoffs. It'll be fun, you know what I mean? I instinctually I get excited. Oh, it's like there's a Warriors game today, and then as it gets closer, I'm like, oh yeah, they're kind of boring to watch, you know. And now this gives us something, whether it works in the positive direction or the negative. It's not going to be in between. It's going to be either work really well or it's just going to be an unmitigated disaster. I love it.
the lowest seed to end up in the finals, right? If I'm not mistaken, was one of the Jimmy Butler Heat teams, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
they were. I think they were the 8th. Were they?
I don't
they
remember what
seed
seed they were, but
they might have been
I'm
playing
just,
team.
yeah. What I'm saying is like he wrote the book on this, and so I mean, this will be really interesting towards the end of the year. I do think long term, I think this is great for the league, especially having Luka on a team like the Lakers and the drama of Jimmy Butler coming to the Warriors. This is going to be a great I mean, I think Adam Silver is just so excited about this, and having like a whole day of trades, like not even just the whole day, but like the whole 2 weeks. This was a very exciting time to be a basketball fan. Every single conversation I've had with new people has been like, are you a basketball fan? And when they are, it's just like a whole different ballpark. Like last time I'm working with somebody who I was like, are you he told me he was from San Antonio, and I was like, are you a basketball fan? And he's like, of course I am. And then we spent like 20 minutes talking about like Darren Fox. That's something we should all talk about too, is Darren Fox with Wimby and Chris Paul there to guide him. I mean, it sucks that we lost the Mavs, but in the long term, I think. But like, man, San Antonio is going to be kind of crazy the next 10 years. This is going to be
I mean,
times.
Yeah, it's I mean, the Spurs they got something.
They traded nobody.
Amazing.
They
Yeah.
traded nobody.
I mean, they got Wemby, which is like, how can you luck into Tim Duncan and then Wemby? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
no, I mean they went from the general, the admiral, the whatever, the
right.
marine
Yeah.
to
Navy.
yeah,
Yeah.
to the navy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's three big men in
It's
a row over the course of what, 35 years? It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's almost like when the Rockets, they had Ralph Sampson and Hakeem, and then they end up with Yao Ming. And then like the Warriors, it's like they've always played small. And they still play small to this day. When I was a kid, they played small with like, run TMC. And now, here we are without any massive centers. One other thing, it's like, you talked about the next couple of years and how this contract of Jimmy's will age, but yeah, it also just feels like they created that clear line, right? Like before it was Draymond and Steph, and then a bunch of like young guys and I don't know, middle career guys. And now by shifting from Wiggins, who was 29 or 30 or something, and one of those middle career, not sure what he is, or we know what he is, but like he's neither up there with Steph and Draymond, and he's not just a young up and comer with Kuminga and Moody. And now you have a third guy who's just there. This is it. And he's old, right? He's 36, going 37 or whatever, and or 35, 36. And now you just have this clear line. It's like, okay, all those contracts, Steph, Draymond, Butler, line up 2 more years after this. And it's basically like, okay, great. Now you guys got Jimmy Butler. Here's 2 years to make something happen. And you have Kuminga, you have Moody, you have Pajemski, potentially still, assuming these guys don't get moved in the offseason, who have experience, who aren't 19-year-old rookies, who you're hoping can continue to grow and contribute. Obviously, they're leaning on all of them to have an impact, and then in a couple years, see where you are. And the other thing too, it's like when this new CBA happened. Again, no expert, but it's just that it allowed what David Stern always wanted, what Adam Silver probably wanted, which is parity, and which allowed other teams, the flyover states, that they could be competitive to the small market teams. And you look at the top teams in the league, and a lot of them are small market teams like uh, Cleveland, OKC, Detroit, Orlando. Well, Orlando's below 500, but they're up and coming with talent. And so at a certain point, those teams are going to have to deal with the aprons, first, second apron, and cap issues, and they're going to have to decide. Oh, like with OKC, we got SGA, we got Chet Holmgren, we got Jalen Williams. Who are they going to jettison somebody? Are they going to have to trade somebody uh, and move them? So like a lot of the influx of talent that's come into the league in the last 4 years or so, they'll be potentially on the move as well. So there's going to be a lot more fluidity. So if you lose Butler, you lose Draymond. I hope they can keep Steph like until he just, I hope he doesn't retire in 2 years. I feel like as a longtime suffering Warriors fan from back in the day, it's like you expect that once they're bad, they're going to be bad forever. But there is a path forward if they play it right, especially in this in the current CBA environment.
I want to talk about the Warriors in particular and parity overall, because I think I agree. Adam Silver got what he wanted. Parity is not about getting Oklahoma City to be, is not just about getting Oklahoma City to be good. It's about making sure that the big market teams don't always get the best players, right? Because they will always be lured. They will always lure the best players. Like Luka Doncic is always going to be gravitating towards the Lakers somehow, whether it's a trade or just going himself. Those teams like the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics will always be the draws. It's also about making sure not all three of the best players end up in the big cities. And so I think Adam Silver got what he wanted, which is like OKC's the best team over here. Orlando's a pretty damn good team. The Rockets are a great team. but also the Knicks are great and the Lakers are great and the Warriors are great. And then when the Sonics come back and Vegas ends up coming along, I love this whole conspiracy theory about how they're trying to destroy the Mavericks. So they end up moving to Vegas, which I think is hilarious. That's just a whole thread that you should all read about if you can. But I think this is
Yeah.
all working according to the new, and when the new CBA comes, it's going to be great. And so, I mean, I think it's great. I also think players like SGA are not going to stay at OKC forever.
Exactly. And there's a lot of good talent that's not all just going to come to LA because they are not going to take lower value contracts just to play here. So like it'll keep the players fluid and moving. I don't know if that will force people to, if it'll make people sick of teams losing their players every couple of years and whatnot. But as you said, it keeps it flowing. And I'm very curious. I'm very curious after Steph retires because the Warriors Bay Area was never like a destination the way the Lakers, the Knicks, and then Miami even uh, like have been. And I think they'll still be a destination after Steph retires. Of course, it depends on how it all ends and what the Warriors team makeup and assets are. But
I,
it'll be interesting.
I think we know what the precedent is, and it's the Giants. Sadly, I mean, 3 World Series, and we probably had, the audacity to think that the state the San Francisco Giants would still be a draw, and we're knowing right now like what the difference between San Francisco and Los Angeles and New York are. It's a very subtle difference, but the players know the difference. And so, I mean, I love to be optimistic about the Warriors being the most valuable franchise, I think, in sports. But I'd be very afraid knowing what's happening to the Giants right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously baseball's a little bit different. Again, like it depends on who is on their team and what they turn into, right? If
Who do you hate more, the Dodgers or the Lakers? Because I don't think it's any different.
gosh, I I mean, it's probably the Lakers. I mean, what, because I stopped caring
How
about
many
baseball
World
as much as I
Series?
used
How
to.
many Dodgers World Series parades running through your neighborhood until you hate the Dodgers more than the Lakers? Three more?
Probably, yeah, maybe,
Is this
because
gonna happen?
I'm really good at tuning out the baseball season. It's the basketball season that obviously that I pay attention to the most. So that's probably why the Lakers, and also like yeah, like the back in the day, getting sick of seeing all like these guys just go to the Lakers because it's LA. How it's like, oh, come on, man.
Well, let me tell you
Then again,
something.
I live in LA.
I spent a month in Vietnam and I saw a lot of Steph Curry jerseys, either people wearing them or just stuff being randomly sold next to Welcome to Vietnam, Good Morning Vietnam shirts, like just bootleg Steph stuff. It was just very odd because I would see a lot of John Morant things too. But that being said, like I think what Rob Pelinka said was right. You're going to be seeing Lakers 77 jerseys all over the world for the next 10 years. And the Warriors just don't have that right now. The Warriors have that right now. They have Curry 30 jerseys literally everywhere in the world. And we just, I mean, that's going to be so sad to see. It's going to be so
Yeah.
sad.
I'm really interested to see what this Warriors fan base is going to be like when he's gone and if the Warriors are pretty bad because there are so many. I mean, this has been going on since Steph drafted '09, started making the playoffs in what 2012, 13 or something like that, and it's been going since, and it's been over 10 years since he's been such a impactful player, and a lot of people don't know anything else, and the media world has changed. So I don't know what people are prepared for. I don't know if it's just all gonna disappear. I mean, look how many things have been built off of Steph, right? Look how many Warriors podcasts exist on Steph's back. Like Under Armour, successful off Steph's back. Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob, successful off Steph's back. The Athletic successful off of Steph's back. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see how that all plays out in or whenever that happens. But yeah, in a couple years, I really hope that Butler and Draymond they go off to greener pastures, but then Steph sticks around until he becomes player coach.
Yeah, like Rod Higgins back in the day when players were injured, we're like, can we bring him back in those days?
Hey man, suit up, stack.
I'd love to see it, dude. You know how I love to see that. I mean, this is what we should really have, like a top heavy team with Jimmy Butler, and then guys at the very bottom who are, hopeful, but mostly in Santa Cruz, right? I mean, we traded a lot of guys away who are older and probably didn't hold up as well. We should probably be giving minutes to the younger guys, and so
Yeah,
slow-mo
I
giving
like.
up minutes is kind of bad.
I mean, I agree. Like top heavy, but with dudes on the bench who aren't named Quinn Cook or Alfonso McKinney. You know what I mean? The roster construction will be interesting. What's your starting lineup? I mean,
Jimmy
question
Butler.
is like, do you put Butler at the 2, or you just put him in Wiggins slot the 3 and bring
It's
Kuminga
got to
off the
be. I think
bench?
it's Wiggins. I think it's Wiggins' spot.
Yeah, I'm guessing that too because Kerr loves to keep Kuminga on the bench, and also he's just too. At this point, he's like older, slower. He's not going to guard those guys. I mean, not that Pods or Buddy Hield is either, but yeah, whatever. With the Warriors, it's always who closes and not who starts that really matters. And closing lineup is always going to be Steph, Butler, Kuminga, Draymond, and whatever matchup slash hot hand is going on, whether it's Pods or Peyton or Looney or Jackson Davis, or if they want to go super small. I guess Pods makes them super small, but
I do like
throw
Pod
Moody in
starting
there.
though. I mean, he just looked like a new man yesterday. I don't know if it's the fear of getting traded or not, but
Yeah, I think with that dude, I mean, glad that he got like a second to uh, take a breather and get the pressure off him. I think that's all he needed. As long as he can get to the gravitate towards his personal mean from last season, then I think we're back in a good spot. He's catching so much heat from I don't know what it's like on Blue Sky, but on Twitter, it's like Pods cost us marketing. It's like, dude, really? You really that believe that? But anyway.
I do want to talk about Durant because like
Yeah,
Durant
yeah,
just caught a bunch of strays at the end of the trade deadline.
yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I think at some point the conversation about Durant full circle has to come back to the Warriors at some point. I was at Chris Mullin's last game as a Warrior when he came back for like the one game. I mean, Durant would somehow has to come back. I don't know who's going to retire his jersey other than the Warriors. Like, is he really going to get his OKC jersey retired? His jersey will be hanging up in the rafters in 2 arenas. I think when all said is done, when all is said. Like, can you guess which 2 arenas it would be?
Chase and Oracle.
No, it'll be Chase and Key Arena, dude. Like only the Seattle fans are gonna love him after this, especially after he becomes an owner. But there's no way he's gonna get his jersey retired in OKC, right? Or Brooklyn. Or
Definitely not Brooklyn. OKC, we'll see if he ever goes back. But I think with Durant, man, like, you know, I can I can see that dude not wanting to. He doesn't need to come to terms with like his exit from Golden State. It's the OKC one which completes his story. And so I think like as a Warriors centric fan base here, a lot of people say, "Oh, he left under weird circumstances. Let's make amends, bring him back, and get rid of Draymond and all this other stuff." But I can understand him not wanting to come back here because he's moved on. OKC might be the only place that he has left in his mind if he has any unfinished business. But even then, that dude, basketball nomad, he kind of just puts it behind and moves forward. So I was down to get KD, but uh, I'm fine getting Butler for less, keeping Kuminga. Would you rather have Durant or Butler and Kuminga?
I mean, even Kaminga's contract alone, like what his trade value is worth, between everybody that got traded, I think his potential is still worth a lot more than a lot of the players that got traded. And so I like him as a person and an asset. So
Yeah,
but I do
yeah.
think that I do think that Durant's story is completed with the Warriors and not with OKC. He didn't win a championship with OKC. I think the story is complete with the Seattle conversation, not with OKC. He's still beloved in Seattle. I
You know what
swear.
would
I mean,
really make him?
I was at the Warriors. I was at the Warriors game, the preseason game in Seattle. And that guy is loved, beloved.
Any other final thoughts?
Oh man, this is. I mean, you're gonna watch every Jimmy Butler game just as much as I'm gonna watch every Lakers game from now on too, right? I can't believe we got to watch Laker games now too. It's gonna be. I mean, this is kind of interesting to hate a team again, right? To hate them more. Like we kind of wrote off the Lakers, right? But now we get to
Oh
hate them
yeah,
more. Don't you like
yeah,
this?
yeah. I probably will, but they have a better 10-year trajectory for now than the Warriors. So I'm not sure because I think I know what we might be in for potentially. So just
I
focusing on the
wanted to
present.
say I understand the trajectory for Luca. There's a world where he tops off at not winning a finals. Like he did sort of mail it in defensively during his finals appearance. Was it game 3 or game 4 or whatever? But yes, he got him to the finals. But like, there's a world where they're hitching their ride on somebody who's not going to take them to the finals.
Potentially. Yeah. No, I can definitely see that. You never know. I don't know. I've seen Luca play enough on TV, but I don't know much about him as just a dude, as like a teammate and a player, and these habits, right? I can see that he's not the most fit guy in the world, but we'll see how that all plays out. That's why you play the games.
Yeah, this is why we hate the Lakers. This is exactly why we hate the Lakers.
I don't know, man. I might just have to buy a Luca jersey.
I would buy a fake one in Vietnam for you. That's what I'll do. That's how much I care about Luca.
Can it be fitted, please? No.
Just like
Cool, man.
Luca's is.
James Corden. Cool, man. Thank you for coming back on. Welcome back to the States.
Thanks for having me. We'll talk in a few weeks when we after the first Jimmy Butler game. How about that?
Sounds good, man.